sad story about climate change, sea level rising, extinction of penguins, won't work with top management, won't work with board members, so won't work with investors. So you have to kind of like find a way, find a language to talk to your management, to talk to your investors, to talk to your suppliers, to talk to your customers in relation to ESG, with a financial approach, with a marketing approach, with a profitability approach, with a material approach. So that's what I'm talking about today. So I will not be talking about what's climate change, because you all might know about it. You might know about it well than me. So just to give a brief introduction about evolution of ESG. So in 1980s, ESG was kind of like more focused on occupational health and safety, but that's not actually the occupational health and safety that we are talking today. It's just reducing mortality in factories. Like, oh, today I won't let anybody to die in my factory. That's the minimum standard that they had during those days. In Sri Lanka also, that kind of approach was there during plantation time period, because mortality means losses to the company, because if a person died within the workplace, you have to give some kind of a compensation to the family, you lose skilled labor. So just concerning about that aspect, they have implemented that at the early stages of ESG. And then from 1990s, it was more of a sustainability aspects, like, okay, like business owners thinking like, okay, now we are earning good and we can give something back to the environment, we can give something back to the community, and we can get some branding value out of it. So yeah, let's do something charity, let's do something for the welfare of the community. So that was the approach, which is like very ad hoc. A company might sponsor giving water bottles to a school one day, and then sponsor to give maybe a wheelchair for a disabled person one day. So everything is ad hoc, not interconnected. There's no any strategy. Then at the early 20s, there's this corporate social responsibility came into place, where businesses try to adhere to a certain philanthropy, like they try to develop their own kind of a story. Okay, now we are working towards turtles. Okay, we are working towards disabled people. So they have some kind, in a way, they have kind of like strategized things, but again, that was more of doing with the external environment, and there's nothing more with the internal environment. There's no any internal reflections, that there's no any reflection of the own operation. So we're going to operate in a way what we have done for the last few years, but we're going to do something for the external environment. We're going to sponsor some charities, we're going to do some nice projects with NGOs. So that was the approach. But now in 2020s, what's the approach is like more into internal reflection, where you actually assess the ESG impact, the environment, social, and governance impact within your business, and how to actually streamline things, how to go towards decarbonization, how to work towards achieving human rights, how to go towards achieving certain standards, how to get high score in certain sustainability assessments, and how to work with the other stakeholders outside of your company, and how to make your entire supply chain sustainable. So that's more of a holistic strategy, where a lot of people should have to be on board. So the summary is like, earlier it was more voluntary based, reputation focus, like trying to cater to the minimum requirement and more of a show kind of a thing. But you're actually doing something for the environment, for the community, but that is not tied back to the business. But the new approach is like you have to adhere to a lot of legal regulations. You have to adhere to a lot of requirements of different stakeholders in your supply chain. When customer asks for certain requirements, you have to comply with that. Even when suppliers asking for certain requirements, you have to comply with that. If you want to add a new subsidiary in a new region, you have to comply with that regional regulation. So that's a very strategic move. And then most of the time, all of these initiatives are more focused on internal operations and then projecting towards external environment from the internal environment. So that's basically the change of ESG that we have seen for the last couple of years. So I'm using a lot of stats because I don't want to make this discussion boring. So, but I want to use a lot of stats to prove the point, because we have to be in touch with the recent research. Otherwise, the facts that we are already known might not be very much strong to defend your initiative, whatever you are proposing to your top management. You have to be very updated, because believe me, a lot of people representing top management, they won't be spending a lot of time in meetings with you all, but they'll be spending a lot of time in reading the industry updates. So they are most of the time very much updated. So you have to keep it up with you as well. So, okay, now we have talked about how ESG has been like evaluated, but let's talk about how these different factors affecting and pressuring a company to adopt ESG into the business. So first thing is the pressure from investors. Is anybody having a question? Okay, thank you so much. So if you have any questions, we have a Q&A session at the later end of the session. So of course, please bombard all the questions you have. We can clarify all of them. Okay, so this is a report from Capital Market Investor. So it shows clearly 90% overall investors are asking for an ESG focused business. ESG means not really only environment, you already know about it. It should be socially responsible, and the governance structure should be very transparent and resilient. So they're asking for it. They're asking for ESG related disclosures. They're asking to strategize ESG at your company. They're asking for a dedicated department for ESG, or else if other operational team members are working towards ESG, whether they are properly trained for ESG. So this kind of requirements are like increasing from investors. So to get more capital attraction from different parties, investors are not only from Sri Lanka. We want to get global investors also towards us. So to pitch our business towards different investors around the world, you have to have a ESG adoption plan at least. Now, this is a proof of investor interest in sustainability, because you can see global sustainable fund asset surpass the amount of 3.5 trillion in 2025. 3.5 trillion only ESG assets. ESG assets mean assets related only to ESG related businesses. 3.5 trillion. So that's a huge amount of money that has been like consolidated towards ESG related businesses. So that's how this investor attraction works towards ESG prioritizing companies. And I know there's this Trump situation happening in USA, so he's not believer in climate change. He's actually revoked a lot of environment and climate change related laws and regulations in USA, which sometimes give you a kind of a opinion that, okay, now ESG is not that much trending. So we do not need to focus ESG at this moment. That might be a kind of a valid opinion that you all have. But again, these numbers show how it affects. Like if you really assess the numbers, for the total funds has been increased by 10%. For that 10%, $8.6 billion was inflowed from Europe, and $2 billion from rest of the world has been inflowed, but $5.7 billion have been outflowed. That means US have been withdrawn those funds, but still there's a surplus. So you can see still even US has completely omitted sustainability and climate change concerns in their political governance structure. Still Europe and other countries itself create a major investment pressure towards sustainability. So you have to study the numbers, because Trump not going to rule America forever. Okay, now this shows how the financial input has been cascaded towards different regions. So be familiar with these different abbreviations, because it's really important for you all to talk with the finance guys, because sustainability is not a standalone task at a company. You have to work with HR, you have to work with finance, you have to work with strategic planning departments, admin, top management. So you have to use different skills and maybe different languages, different pitching styles to get their support towards what you're proposing. So if you want to set science-based targets for your company, the task itself includes a kind of investment. So to get that approval, you have to be familiar with these terms. You have to talk with finance or with these terms. Otherwise, they'll think that you'll be this person who is liking to plant trees, liking to save turtles, liking to do something for the planet, like a very welfare guy. That's the image that you are building if you don't have that professional background to defend your suggestion. So these regions, you can see more or less altogether they give 27% of global asset increment, asset under management, ESG asset under management. But you can see specifically countries like Canada, countries like South and Central America, they have different approaches towards investing on more sustainable companies. Okay. Another scenario or another fact, another case actually I want to talk, that's the BlackRock. So BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager. Now we are talking about investors. Let's focus only about investors at this moment. So BlackRock is the world's largest asset managing company. Do a research on it. So they are managing more than 9 trillion USD valuated assets globally. So every year, the CEO and the founder of BlackRock, Larry Fink, send a letter to CEOs of global companies saying, this is our priorities. Okay, somebody has unmuted. Can we mute that? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So we are talking about BlackRock. So this guy, Larry Fink, sent a letter to all the global CEOs in leading companies saying, listen, this is our priority now. If you want investments from us, just address to our requirements. So that's the indirect bargaining that he make. So in 2020 letter that he has sent to all the CEOs, the main topic was climate risk is investment risk. So he clearly mentioned that climate change is not something that we have to think about morally anymore. It is a moral thing. It is an ethical thing. You have to save the planet to the next generation. That's what we have learned so far. That's the definition of sustainability. But now we are in a point that it has to be, the risk has to be quantified, and it has to be viewed as an investment risk, right? So he has clearly mentioned that climate change can affect long-term company valuation. It can either increase company valuation or decrease the company valuation, depends on the ESG trends of the global economy. It can affect physical risk. You know, in Sri Lanka, the cyclone happened in December, caused a lot of physical damages to the companies. Transition risk, you know, suddenly a law might be enforced and you have to change an entire set of suppliers. Let's say a law has been implemented in UAE, United Arab Emirates. So if your suppliers are there, if that suppliers cannot be complied with that law, they're gonna stop their production for some time to have a transition to be complied with that law. Okay, so the law is not applying to you, the law is applying to your supplier. This is an imaginary scenario. So your supplier getting affected to that law, but the supplier does not have a transition plan. He has not seen it in advance. He has not like properly be proactive about it. So now he has to maybe do some production changes, and he needs some time to be comply with that law. Until that time, that supplier cannot send the raw materials to you, which will affect your production. Now see, it's all connected, right? So yeah, transition risk is also a real thing, right? And companies that ignore climate will lose competitiveness. Now sustainability has become more competitive. We have, I think I don't need to explain it more, like you can, I think most of you all have seen the sustainability video that has been released by Apple. Okay, they're actually pitching sustainability in a very branding and very very competitive language that they're talking. Listen, we are the only net zero company that gonna cater to your mobile requirements. So yeah, that's how companies are now positioning sustainability in different scopes. So the letter emphasize, listen, global transition to net zero is inevitable. You must prepare and your businesses must be aligned. Now, this is an actual photograph of that letter. So see the language that he's using. We are asking companies to disclose a plan for how their business models will be compatible with net zero economy. Right, it's a direct ask, nothing indirect, like he's directly asking for it. So he's not actually encouraging it, he's actually asking for it. So this letter influenced a lot of global companies, global CEOs to have immediate board discussions and adhere to certain climate disclosure practices, develop decarbonization roadmaps for the company to meet investor expectations. Okay. So he saw climate risk as a financial risk. You know, you might think this guy might be crazy. He might think in a different way, like it's not practical in actual environment, but that is actually proved from stats, because see this graph. The annual economic losses caused from weather and climate related extreme events, this is not the risk, right? This is the economic loss caused. That's an actual loss that has been caused, right? That's not a risk, that's not something estimated. This is this is an actual value. This is an estimated actual value, right? So from 1980s to 1988, starting from 8.6 billion, it has been increased up to 44.9 billion. From 2020 to 2024, within these 5 years, the economic loss, the global economic loss, not really the global economic loss, but the economic loss only to European Union countries. European Union countries is 44.9 billion, right? So what he state is actually proved from the stats as well. So that's why you have to work with stats all the time. Okay, now let's forget about investors. Now let's think about customers and the consumer behavior. Now, studying about customers means customers and potential customers. You have to think about both of them, right? Not only the actual customers that we have. If you have if you want to sustain your business for a decade or a greater period, you have to think about the potential customer as well. From this research done by PwC, it has been identified that customers are willing to pay 9.7% of a premium, sustainability premium. That means an added cost, despite of inflation, for sustainability. Now, this is kind of like unrealistic, right? We won't be like if you experiencing inflation that much, how come you're gonna pay this amount of a premium? This is not the actual customer. This is actually the potential customer, the future customer. That means the generation Gen Z. So let's talk about it maybe within few minutes. Okay. So 46% of them are willing to buy more sustainable products. 43% of them not really focusing on sustainable products, but they try to adjust their purchasing behavior, try to buy less. And that's a different approach. And 31% try to travel less, which means online marketing, online shopping, right? That's the focus. And 24% try to directly move towards EV with completely eliminating fossil fuel usage from automobiles. So this is the nature of customers globally. I'm not talking about the local customer. I'm talking about the global customer. So this is the nature of the customer. So the potential customer, the future customer is Gen Z. Now, this interesting fact I found from a research of EcoFocus stats, where 65% of the Gen Z generation has been educated about sustainability, to be environmentally conscious, to be humane, to be more transparent, to be more sustainable at home from parents. Like they are growing in that kind of an environment. So that means from early stages, their attitudes changing towards becoming more sustainable, towards adopting more sustainable purchasing patterns. That's how that 9.7 willingness coming, right? So they learn from parents, they learn from school, they learn from maybe whatever external educational source that they are having, they're learning about sustainability. We haven't learned about sustainability in our school time. Like, we have learned certain aspects, yes, but there's no any particular approach to study about sustainability when we are at school. But now even parents are educated about sustainability. They are talking about climate change. They are trying to reduce polythene plastic usage at house. Children see something happening at household. Children see something happening in schools. Schools try to be green. Schools trying to apply sustainable waste management principles at school premises. Like, a lot of sustainability initiatives are happening within their vicinity. So it directly affects their personality, their thinking pattern, their attitude, ultimately affecting their purchasing behavior. So if you are focusing on growing your business towards this future customer, you have to consider this aspect as well. And the interesting fact is, so around 22% of Gen Z population is more likely to be aggressively against unsustainable brands. So they might like protest or attend to a march or rally, do a social media campaign. Social media is available for everybody. It's a free communication world out there. Or they might be volunteering with an organization working against unsustainable brands or unsustainable campaigns. Or they might be supporting a charity or an NGO working towards sustainable alternatives, or at least they have signed a petition. So they are very aggressive and they are very vigorous. They are actually walking the talk, and they are very reactive. So you have to understand this customer behavior. You can see now. Previously I talked about an individual customer, but along with that, a lot of supportive organizations, supportive NGOs, supportive non-for-profit organizations are there in the world who's actively studying the global brands, and like maybe putting people inside the company purposely and evaluating the production process, the manufacturing process, how they're going to source, how they're going to do their lab tests, how they're going to do their packaging. They are very strategic about it, and they have a very powerful legal support as well, because they are also global NGOs. So they have the power to publicly scrutinize this kind of brands, publicly publicly ask people to refuse, boycott this kind of brands without any fear for their for the legal strongness of those competitive brands. Now, earlier we thought corporate companies are having this upper hand over NGOs because they are generating profit. They have that power. They have their own legal departments. They are well with their connections, so they have the power to defend any claim that they are making falsely. But now, similarly, there are companies, not really companies per se, but there are organizations who are working towards actually establishing certain standards in certain industries, focused on certain topics, which has that power to go against leading global brands. Now, as an example, PETA. So PETA is one organization which you can see this is an actual post of PETA. See how many global brands that they have indicated publicly. Companies that test on animals, so they are working towards animal welfare. So they have publicly include the company logo. So including company logo and publicly criticizing it is asking for a legal suit. But they are not afraid of it. Now see, there's good example of a public campaign done by PETA against Hermes. Hermes, the handbag company. against using actual crocodile skins. They're asking why you are using actual crocodile skins. You can use synthetic skins. Like, you don't need the actual ones. Why you kill an animal for that? So they are and they have this vigorous marketing teams also, like creatively designing these kind of campaigns to get more public attraction, right? So there's this part of organizations as well in the world working against corporates if you are working in a kind of unsustainable way, or if you are making a false claim. Okay, we have talking about the customer, so we'll forget about the customer for a minute. Now we are talking about the regulatory pressure. So I don't want to go through the entire regulation frameworks in the global implementation, because we are discussing it in the training program of Green Future Network that has been conducting for like 2 times or 3 times. It's very successfully conducted. So we'll be discussing it in detail there. But I'm just highlighting certain countries here and there, just to give an idea how regulations applied all around the globe. So you might think, okay, now we are in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is not mentioning in any of these, so we are safe. But again, think about supply chain. Always with the business opportunities that you are losing. If you want to export for a different country, if you want to expand your supply chain, if you want to get more suppliers in different regions, if you want to pitch different customers in different regions, obviously you have to think about the regulatory pressure. Okay, so that's something you can't omit. Now, as an example, I'll explain one. Now, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD. CSRD is applied directly to European Union countries. Right? So if you are an EU company, then of course it applies to you. But if you are a non-EU company, and if your revenue exceed more than 150 million euro, it applies for your company. Okay, that also not applying for your company. Okay, but you can't think you're safe now, because in your supply chain, if there's an EU customer, now let's say you are working for a logistic company, right? So you are managing logistics of a European Union company, maybe let's say a UK company. So that UK company is bound by CSRD. So CSRD asks for mandatory ESG disclosures, at least scope 1 to 3 reporting. So scope 1 to 3 reporting means, I think I don't want to be more technical, but scope 3 means that company has to actually consider the transport emissions as well. So that company does not have potential to calculate transport emissions. So they're asking your help to give an emission report for their freight. So you need to have the capacity to provide a freight emission report for your customer. That's how CSRD indirectly affecting you. Okay. So just I gave a kind of an industry example to you. So another thing is greenwashing. So this is an important law implemented in EU, empowering consumers for green transition directive. That's the name of the law, and this is the screenshot of law release. So there are different anti-greenwashing laws in different regions. So I'm taking this as an example for you all to have a kind of an understanding how anti-greenwashing law works. Now, one thing, if you are using words like eco-friendly, sustainable, organic, environmental friendly, these nice words that you are seeing in different packaging, if that word does not actually have a scientific evidence or proof, like even a maybe a lab report, maybe a proper assessment, or maybe a skilled professional to handle that kind of operation within your company, you need to have that proof within your company. If you don't have that, that's a false claim. That's a false claim. So that get tracked from EU anti-greenwashing law. Okay. Another thing is like vague things, vague claims. Environmental friendly is again a vague claim because it doesn't actually say how you are environmental friendly. Are you thinking about waste and saying this? Are you thinking about emissions and saying things? Are you thinking about cleaner production and saying this? So that's very vague. That's broad. That can't be applicable in your packaging if you are a sustainable brand. Prohibits misleading carbon neutrality claims. If you are saying you are not really carbon neutrality, but if you use any kind of a misleading sustainable label. Now, I have seen a lot of local water bottle brands. They are using ISO logo. I'm not talking about like very reputed brands, but there are some local, maybe regional water bottle manufacturers. They are using ISO logo. If you properly observe it, you only see ISO there, but no any number. So ISO standard has ISO is the governing body. They have a lot of standards, ISO 9001, 27001, 45001. So they are not specifying which standard they have. They just put the ISO, 3 words, 3 letters in the label, and implying that they have a ISO standard. So that's misleading. That's misleading. So another thing is self-created logos. Now I'm giving this example. Now see these misleading labels, and when you are in when you go to Cargill's, Labs or Kiehl's, just observe the packaging of different materials, especially cleaning materials like dishwashing liquids. Go through them, go through the labels. You'll see a lot of this kind of labels, because in Sri Lanka at the moment, there's no any anti-greenwashing law implemented. So that's why they have that audacity to put such kind of a self-created sustainable logo label on their packaging. That doesn't mean anything. They just put it to cheat the customer, mislead the customer. So that's actually tracked in EU and in other countries as well, like Singapore, in India. There are some laws against it. So if you are planning to export, you have to think of it. And in Sri Lanka also, near future, this will be implemented. Now, I want to give an example. Now, greenwashing is now you understand greenwashing is this and how it actually applied, and it can create a reputational damage to the company if that's properly identified, and if that's raised, and if there's a lawsuit going on, that will create a reputational damage. I think you already understand it, but let's do a small exercise. Let's actually assess the financial impact to a business by just a greenwashing claim, by just a false claim. Okay. Now, the example is Volkswagen. So Volkswagen launched a fleet series called Clean Diesel, and what they claim is these cars are more powerful, they cause low emissions, and they are fuel efficient. Okay. So, but what they actually did internally was these buggers, they have developed a software that can detect any moment when the car is undergoing an emission testing. කොහේ හරි emission test එකක් වෙනකොට car එකට software එක that at that moment software detects that moment, and then it manipulate the number and give emission number comply with the emission limits. But when the car back on the road, back on the track, it usually performs in its usual way, and that usual way emits 40 times more nitrogen oxide than the legal allowance limit. Legal allowance limit එකටවත් comply වෙන්නේ නැතුව තමයි it release emissions. So that's a huge false claim, right? Now, Volkswagen has been cheating customers with this claim for years, but this has been identified by US government. So this is the actual photograph of actual press release from the Office of Public Affairs of United States. Volkswagen to spend up to 14.7 billion to settle allegations in cheating emission tests. They're cheating emission tests and deceiving customers on 2.0 liter diesel vehicles. So let's keep the reputational damage aside. Let's assess the financial damage. The total financial damage exceeding more than 10 billion USD, right? All around like 14, 15 billion USD. So that amount, you might think how that amount of financial impact, negative impact caused for a company by just false claim. First of all, they have to buy back all the fleet that they have sold with this false claim. And then they have to either terminate the lease or they have to modify the fleet according to the requirement. And then the consumers have paid extra because this is a sustainable solution, sustainable alternative. So they have paid a premium amount. So for breaking that trust, they have to pay a compensation for the consumers. And then they have made an extra emission than the projected emission, because the projected emission says a lower amount, but the car is actually emitting more. So they have to spend more to mitigate the emission that has been caused with this false claim. They have to mitigate it. That's the European law. So then now all the affected has been compensated, yes, but the reputational damage is still there. To rectify that, they have to make separate investment to support net zero vehicle technology. Listen, they have to make a public statement apologizing to people, and then they have to do some kind of an active contribution to rectify the failure that they have caused to their customer. So see, the impact is real. Like if ESG is just a trend, that's not the financial impact that we are foreseeing. Okay. Then the next thing is, science-based target initiative, right? If you don't know about it, I'll give you a brief explanation. Now companies are causing emissions during their operations. Like if you are a manufacturing company, if you are a product-based or service company, either way you cause some kind of an emission. So that emission has to be net zero, right? If you are targeting to be net zero by, let's say, 2050, you have to project the emissions that you are causing up until 2050, considering your company growth, considering your HR growth, considering your asset growth, everything. You have to project your emission, and then you have to plan how to reduce that emissions through different initiatives within the company. So you have to focus on maybe reducing fossil fuel usage, using alternative sources for fossil fuel usage, maybe moving for EV, reducing fossil fuel based electricity. That means you have to invest more on renewable energy. Different aspects are there. Digitalizing processes to reduce paper use. Different approaches are there. So you have to develop a plan. Listen, these are our targets. So this is the plan that we're gonna apply to achieve this target. And there's this external party called Science Based Targets, very reputed organization. I'm working with them for like 3-4 years now. So they are an external independent body. So if we develop a plan and if we set our targets, it's not transparent, right? So this independent body, but the process is we develop targets and we submit the targets to this independent body, and they're going to evaluate whether this is feasible, whether our company can actually achieve this. So whether our actions, the proposed actions are aggressive enough to do this. So they actually do track us. So they once they approve the targets only, we can say we have set science-based targets. And then we have to report our progress to them on a periodical basis. Okay, so that's a very brief intro about science-based targets. If anybody doesn't know about it, just search for it. So every company in Sri Lanka, especially listed under Colombo Stock Exchange, are trying currently to set science-based targets, and some companies have already done it, like MAS, Palawakale Plantation. So they have already done it. So what I'm saying is, globally, 227% of jump in companies setting comprehensive climate targets. So setting climate targets is not easy job. So it includes an investment, even to identify even to develop a feasible plan and identify what sort of targets that we can achieve. That assessment only maybe cost around 15,000 to 20,000 USD for global company. For global company, I'm saying, just to submit the targets, that's the investment. And if you are actually implementing that actions to achieve that targets, you have to invest more on renewable energy, you have to invest more on sustainable raw materials, you have to think about the manufacturing process, you have to think about the supply chains more, you have to reduce the fuel usage. There's a lot of things you have to rethink, which again may cost more investments. So despite of these investments, companies going toward it, because ESG is not just a trend, they are proactively foreseeing what's happening in the industry, what will happen in future. So there's no any future without ESG. They know about it and they're actively working towards it. So if you start earlier, the better. That's this journey. So this amount is dividing in this way. So number of companies setting near-term targets. So targets have two types, near-term and long-term. Near-term targets mean like 2030, 2035. We're going to reduce this much of emissions by 2030, 2035. That's near-term targets. Long-term targets mean we're going to be net zero. That means the amount of emissions we are releasing to the environment, we do some kind of initiatives to absorb it back from the environment to us, or else we cut off that emissions. So we become the company become emission wise zero. There's no positive or negative emission balance in your inventory. So that's simply as it is. So near-term targets, 97% companies have set near-term targets, and both near-term and long-term targets, that means net zero targets, 227%. That means the companies are very focused on achieving both near and longer-term targets, which shows that they are very much aggressive, vigorous towards decarbonization. And Asia increasing 134% of companies going towards releasing net zero commitments. China 228%. So this is how the companies work towards decarbonization at the moment. So out of it, I'm taking a small case, which is Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft have a very vigorous reduction target. They want to become carbon negative by 2030. It's not net zero. Okay. So net zero means there's no any positive or negative balance. Carbon negative means you have to remove carbon from atmosphere than you emit. That means you are committing to generate a positive impact towards environment rather than the negative impact caused by your company. Right? That's a very vigorous comment. So how they're going to structure their business towards it? So this has to be feasible. No, you can't make false claims because the greenwashing laws are also applicable to them. So they have to be very mindful about it. So what they have done within their business is they actually implemented an internal tax to their business units. So everybody purchasing from Microsoft share that commitment. And then that additional amount is directed to a separate fund called Climate Innovation Fund, right? That's $1 billion fund. And that fund will be funding for research institutes and companies who are developing high performance carbon dioxide removal technologies. That means products and technologies that are focused on removing carbon dioxide already existing in the atmosphere. So they are investing on those companies. So earlier the approach was buying carbon offsets. So I'm not going to explain carbon offsets to you. But just do your research on carbon offsets. I think majority of you all know about carbon offsets at the moment. But yeah, carbon offset is the easy way. Like you spend some money and purchase some kind of a, I would say it's a cryptocurrency for ESG kind of a thing, credit. It's a kind of a giving a financial value for a emission. So you're going to pay that amount to a certain organization and buy those credits and just negate your emissions out of it. But this is more aggressive and more practical approach where they're actively investing on the factories that absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So that's how they're going to be negative by carbon negative by 2030. So see the company, how these companies have committed towards ESG. So it's not just a trend. Now another example. So I thought of discussing about actual real world examples rather than theories, because in that way you can actually realize how globally the perspectives of different corporates work. Now, Dong Energy is a fossil fuel company in Denmark, and it was a very leading fossil fuel company in the world. But by 2010, they have experienced, now these companies, they have a, let's talk in a very practical way. Like these companies, they do have a strategic planning department, right? Not necessarily the name is strategic planning, but they do plan the future of the company. So they foresee what are the trends, what are the threats, what are the risks, how to mitigate, how to work around those issues, and how to develop contingency plans for that. So there's that kind of a drive in every company, every structured company. So Dong Energy has realized that there's a heavy exposure to oil and gas price volatility in future, because oil and gas is not going to last forever, right? It's a limited resource. So if you're going to plan your company for 50, 100 years, you have to think about it. And the decline in profitability of fossil assets, because when the price is increasing, and the resource is also depleting, the demand and supply curve doesn't match, right? You have to pay more to extract more, and you have to, per unit cost will be increasing. Okay, so the profitability will be decreasing, and rising cost competitiveness for wind power. So people wind power makes more sense in those days. Like people try to think about wind power as an actual source in those countries. Increase EU climate policy pressure. So European Union also implemented a lot of rules and regulations focused on sustainability. And investors also demanding long-term stability. So considering all of these matters, the company Dong Energy has taken a very massive decision to become a wind power company from a fossil fuel company. See, the entire company focus changed based on ESG requirements. Now, what they did was phase one, divestment. They sold all the upstream oil and gas assets because they work with fossil fuel for years, so they have all the assets related to that manufacturing process, that not really manufacturing, but the extraction and handling process. So they have sold off all the assets related to that, exited from all coal-based power generation, reduced fossil exposure significantly. Everything they have reduced. And then they have rebranded themselves as Ostrad, and they have created a business purpose focused on renewable energy, and the entire business was focused on wind power moving forward. So that's how the transition works. So you can search, you can go to that company's website and search how well they are doing financially. So that's a very well-planned transition. So see, if ESG is just a transition, companies won't do that. Companies won't make this much critical, aggressive decisions. And the next example is Tony Chocolonely. This is a very interesting example, right? Now, so earlier, what we talk about two examples, Microsoft and Orsted. So those are companies who have transitioned towards sustainable businesses with a transition plan. So they were existing companies, and they thought about ESG later on, and then they incorporated ESG elements to their business strategy and slowly working towards decarbonization in a very gradual manner. So that's their journey. So different companies have different journeys in this ESG scope, right? Now, Don Chocolonely is a company that has been created. It's not existing company that has been created, identifying an ESG related problem in the society, right? So this company has a very very creative marketing team. So they have like positioned their brand in a very premium way as a sustainable chocolate company. So what the problem that they have identified is most of the chocolate companies around the globe, I would say the entire chocolate industry is using child labor in West Africa, because most of the cocoa plantations are in West Africa. So children actually working in these plantations, they are deprived of education, they are deprived of their child needs. So that's a huge aspect in ESGS under society, like child labor, human rights, modern slavery. Like modern slavery doesn't come under it, but slavery. It's actually slavery, not modern slavery, it's slavery. Forced labor risks, poverty wages for farmers. So even for farmers, they are paying a very less amount. And they are keeping higher profit margins as corporates while giving a very less amount to farmers that does not meet the minimum wage requirements. And the supply chain is very shady. They are not exposing who are their suppliers, because they're working with a lot of middlemen. they don't work directly with the farmers. So they are working with a lot of middlemen. So these middlemen are the people who are manipulating the entire supply chain and causing this harm for the farmers. And the commodity price volatility, because they are working with middlemen. Of course, what middlemen say, they have to address to it. Then Tony Chocolonely. Tony is the founder of this the company. He has created a company called Tony Chocolonely, which creates a sustainable chocolate brand, right? So the supply chain is 100% traceable because this company actually buy cocoa beans from the producer. So they are not working with middlemen, they are working with directly with the farm. So, and they are, because of that, they are reducing the cost at the middle nodes of the supply chain. So they can pay greater amount to farmers, which means farmers are more willing to work with them, which means long-term supplier loyalty, and they can go for long-term contracts, and they can bargain with farmers. And also since they are working directly with the farmers, their supply chain is also very transparent, and they actually launch an annual report about their sustainability performance every year. So they're pretty transparent. And if they face any challenges, they also open about it. If they face any challenge, they disclose it. So lot of things are there sustainable about Tony Chocolonely. I don't want to go through the entire table, but the next thing is, along with this, remember I told you 9.7% of the customers are willing to pay a premium price for a sustainable product. That tie back here. So Tony Chocolonely chocolate is expensive than Cadbury or whatever, the chocolate, Kit Kat, everything. So they place their chocolate in a premium market space, which gives a value for their ethical sourcing. So I told you their branding team is very creative. I just want to give this as an example to tie back your sustainability performance. Where you can actually create nice stories with your actual commitments. You just have to have that skill. Not really you, but your marketing department, your branding department has to have that skill to actually develop a nice story based on your actual commitment, not a false commitment, and give it back to the stakeholders so that you can sustain your initiative within the company. Because it's actually, every sustainability initiative has a kind of a good branding value. It's a matter of you speaking the right language in right colors in right way. So you can see just by glance, you can see this chocolate is different, and this chocolate is divided into different size of pieces, uneven bar. Usually a chocolate bar is even with equal rectangular shaped pieces. So this means how unfairly the profits has been divided in chocolate industry. Okay, so that's a representation of the industry itself, right? So yeah, so they have included their entire story to their packaging, to their manufacturing. The storytelling was everything very successful and very strategized towards ESG. Yeah, so that's an example I want to share with you all. So since I think I've talked more than 1 hour, I'll briefly summarize what we have discussed. So ESG, investors demanding. So if you want to expand your capital markets, you have to think about it. Your customers asking for it, right? So if, let's say you are a logistic company or you are a manufacturing company, if you want to get a European manufacturer on board, if you want to get certain US brands are also very sustainable. As an example, let's say Nike, very sustainable brand. So will demand certain things from you. So you have to be comply with that. So certain regulations are there, laws and regulations regionally and internationally that you have to adhere to. Even within Sri Lanka, Colombo Stock Exchange has certain rules and regulations to disclose sustainability related information. Environmental protection license is there, EPL is there to prove that your location is selected and developed in a way that it doesn't harm environment. So a lot of regulations are there in Sri Lanka as well. And if you misinterpret or if you misuse a claim, a certain claim, or if you exaggerate a certain claim, saying you are sustainable in a different way, and if you get caught, then of course you get to have some kind of a negative impact. Maybe within Sri Lanka, if you are a local company targeting local consumer, you might not get a lawsuit at glance, but you might get a negative feedback from the customers. I don't know. So maybe social media, and you will lose the opportunity to go to new markets. If you are a sustainable company, yes, you have to, you have to, you have the opportunity to go to new markets. So if you are going for a new market, you have to make certain standards. You have to adhere to certain standards in your factory. Maybe they might asking ISO 45001, ISO 9001. So you have to have those standards within your factory, and you have to regularly update, do audits, maintain that status to comply with that. So again, ESG is a requirement. So the real question is your business ready for if your business is ready for a system ESG has already built? Not really whether ESG is a trend or not. That's not the problem. Whether your company is ready to strategize and actually incorporate ESG to your company. And most importantly, are you ready as a professional to lead that transformation within your company? So that's the actual question. So Green Future Network, which is created by Upeksha, she has created this network with a very conscious and mindful way, connecting all the budding professionals in a sustainability scope to get together, to discuss these facts, to learn from each other, to get to create a maybe positive competition in between, to understand how different industries work. So this network has been immensely helping you all to learn from each other, so get the maximum benefit of it, and never doubt yourself working towards sustainability within your company. It is a very hard journey, believe me. I have been there. You have to face a lot of frustrations. Many people will discourage you. Finance department might not approve your initiatives. You might have to go through a lot of red tapes. Top management won't understand what you are saying. So it's a journey that we all have to go through. If you are working for a company already conscious about sustainability, then you are lucky. But if you are working for a company in the middle of a way, again you are lucky, because you get to learn a lot, because you are actually passing all the hurdles and achieving that goal. So you learn a lot. So either way, it's use this network for your development, and never doubt yourself for choosing this subject as your career. So that's what I want to tell you. Yeah, so that's it from my end. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Semini, for that instruction session. Your experience at EFL Global and your practical approach to ESG truly shows us that ESG is not just a trend but an important part of modern business, especially. We are really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and real world experience with us today. Now let's move into the Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much, Semini, for the very insightful session. Uh, and thank you very much for accepting my invitation, even though you are a little sick, accepting my invitation and taking over the session. That was very interesting and insightful session. And regarding the questions, during the registration forms, we asked about the questions you have to ask from the speaker. So we had received several questions. So basically, when I was analyzing the question, the most like frequent question was, how can students fresh graduates enter the ESG or sustainability field without prior experience? So that's one of the questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to share my experience. So my basic degree is agriculture. So I'm not coming from an ESG related academic background, but along with my experience with different companies, I have actually learned a lot. Basically, because of the mentors that I had, and also the external training opportunities that I have actively chased and received, and also most of the time self-learning. That's why I'm highlighting all the time during my presentation. If you see a graph, if you see a number, if you get kind of like bored, I could say it's a very greater disadvantage for your career in ESG, because what I'm saying is ESG is an evolving field. There's no any solid theories implemented for ESG, right? Something you are accepting today might be improving tomorrow, right? You have to be always updated with your knowledge. That's why you have to continuously engage with this kind of networks, follow different training programs. You get to learn a lot. Don't worry about it. Even though you are not coming from an ESG background, you will have to, once you have developed your knowledge set and you have that passion to improve yourself, and you have to select you have to choose good mentors in your career. So I have a very good set of mentors that I can reach out, and I can learn from them. And also another thing, if somebody saying that person is an ESG expert, in my opinion, that's absolutely wrong, because ESG is a wide aspect. Like environment, part of the ESG itself is a wide aspect. Like it includes carbon accounting, it includes waste management, it includes water management, it includes energy. A lot of aspects are there. So you can't be mindful when you're using those words in your LinkedIn profiles as well, because even within your career also, you might not able to work in all of these elements. But with this kind of networks, with this kind of different trainings, you get to learn part of those aspects as well, which will be immensely helpful for you to stand out from others in your company. So that's my answer for it. Like, I
Yeah,
hope I
thank
answer
you.
your question.
Very, very good answer. That's one of the very frequent question we also face when we deal with different professionals and all. Yeah. Then another one, what skills and certification should we focus on to build a successful ESG career? That's, I think, answered through your previous question. There was another one, is ESG a long-term business shift or just a trend? And that was also answered very clearly within your presentation. Again, another one, how can organizations implement ESG without high cost? Do you want to?
No, that's all depend on different parameters. One thing is the scale of your organization, the scope of your organization. Now, if you are a global organization, to implement ESG, let's say even to do a basic scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, develop a basic GHG inventory for the company itself cost a lot of money, right? Even to get that inventory audited, I think Upeksha will know better. Even to get that inventory audited, you have to spend a lot of money. So that depends on the scale of your business. But if you are an emerging business, if you are a small scale, micro scale, medium scale, nano scale, if you are in that aspect, you can start in a with more of a focus on behavioral change, like educate employees about it. Like, obviously you can implement certain policies, you can develop policies within your company, you can appoint a dedicated person for sustainability, not really from a ESG background, but maybe somebody who's willing to do that job, but make sure to put relevant KPIs for that person, and that person has to be properly compensated for that commitment. But yeah, appointing that person and then get the policies implemented and actually advocating employees to reduce the relevant consumption, electricity, water, basically electricity, water, and material. From that, you can show a operational cost reduction to your company, to your top management. So I think that's a good start to initiate your ESG journey. But if you are a large scale company, still willing to start the ESG journey, I would say start with the top management. Don't go from bottom to top, to start with top to bottom, because whatever the measures that you are doing, if you are a global company, if you are a large scale company, that's like an ant bite, right? So you try to pitch, try to think in a financial way, get the support of a colleague, get the support of a mentor, create a financial or marketing impact for each and every initiative. Let's say if you are implementing a policy, showcase how this policy implement in a way it creates a financial aspect. I mean, reducing cost, maybe gaining a certain reputation, or maybe gaining a brand value. Show something, or at least say customers asking this, so we need to do this. Show with numbers and facts and figures, and pitch the top management, and try to go through a journey, create a roadmap, show the roadmap to the top management, and start from square one, slowly progress towards pitching these ideas to top management. Don't bombard technical jargon to the top management, because they'll get scared. Try to always speak in a very layman language, always give financial figures, stats, references from competitors. You will do better.
Exactly. I think that those are the questions we had received, and you answered very well. And I believe, and especially to taking this into a very practical manner, that is really appreciable. Because at the end of the day, theories don't yes, theory matter, but how it applies in the industry is very important to know. I think most of the responder sorry most of the participants here are like undergraduates and fresh graduates, so they might not have the exact exposure to the industry, so sharing those is very valuable, Semini. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me, Upekshan. I wish all the very best for all the future endeavors of Green Future Network, and I'm cheering for you and Green Future Network in future as well.
Green Future Network is not only my journey, and you're part of it. You are a founding mentor in our network, and there are many other. So thank you very much for supporting us throughout the journey, and we expect your support in the future as well. Okay, so yeah, I want you to release also, since we have like 1.5 hours before sharing the feedback form. I will take little more time, like 5 minutes, to share a little about our network. Those who are new here, a little about us. Yeah, I'll take 5 minutes. Okay, so we are a company called EcoHigh Private Limited, and under us, the Green Future Network is formed under our education and training arm, where we have the consulting arm separate and our storytelling arm another as another arm. So Green Future Network is actually a membership-based platform. So we link the purpose of having this is to link all the professionals, students, undergraduates, mentors, the industries all together. Lead with purpose, act with impact, and transform with vision. So those are the three main objectives of the network, and that is with the vision to build a future-ready generation of professionals who lead the green economy with integrity, evidence, and purpose. So we discussed during the last GreenCast live why everyone should learn about the green skills and all. So now this is sustainability, or green skills is not only for the like environmentalist and other traditional sustainability role. Everyone should know about this. So this is a very beginner friendly network, and we can not only for beginners but also for industry professionals, we can share our experience with each other. So we are building the next generation. Actually you. So we solve the unclear career pathways in the sustainability, because actually the beginning, or for the main reason why I started this network through my company, because many undergraduates reached out to me and asked how to transform their career into sustainability, where to start and all. So that's why to give a structured guidance, career guidance. So this is like a career guidance network. So that's why we built it. So we will clear out the pathway for you. Like we will help you clear out it. So learning without real world application, volunteering, and project that go unrecognized. So basically giving a structured framework to develop your career in sustainability. So we give you the green skills training, mentorship and career guidance, industry exposure through projects, and also recognition for your impact. So in that part, the recognition part, this is what we built and we launched it very recently, Green GFN Impact Path. And it is powered by the leader framework. So this is to measure our impact through the network. And like I said, there are different pillars in the network. So you start as EcoHive Explorer and upgrade it to the next pillar, EcoHive Trailblazer. So the decision or the criteria which decide on the upgrading the next pillar is governed by the leader framework. So leader framework means there are 6 pillars. So this is the career guidance framework. Actually, this is the framework we use to guide you. So there are 6 pillars called learn, engage, act, discover, empower, and rise. Because this is from my personal experience. Actually, I without knowing that there is a certain framework, but I have used this in my career as well. So we need to learn about this is not only for sustainability. Actually, you can use this framework into any in your career progression. So we have to learn about our area of expertise. Then we have to engage and develop our green social skills, and we have to act. That means we have to use what we learn through projects. So those are the action pillar. Then we have to discover. So especially being the sustainability dynamic field, everything changes day by day. So we have to learn, we have to research. So this pillar supports to track the research part. And empower mean the leadership skills. You might lead projects, you might lead people, events. So to track that, we have the empower pillar. And rise is to give recognition. So recognition is very important when we are doing anything, like praise. Everyone likes the basic form of appreciation or recognition is the clapping. So everyone likes if somebody claps to our work. So that's a sign for the recognition. So like that, through the network, we offer points. We offer points for your entire engagement with the pillars. And depending on the points you gain, there we track it. We maintain a leaderboard like this. So this is the January leaderboard, and these are our top 5 members who gain points within the January month. So like that gives them and also gives others in the network to reach here. So they will gain points through action. So the ultimate objective might be to earn points, but with that they get motivated to uh, like to either learn, engage, act, or any other pillar. So this is like gamification based framework for you to use to build your career on your own, especially in the field of sustainability. So if you are interested, we also support giving different events or the components that feed into each 6 pillars. Like Green Skills Accelerator program is for learning pillar. And like I said, these are the first set of the students who upgraded their membership level to the EcoHive Trailblazer level in 2025. And these type of sessions like GreenCast Live is to support the engage pillar. And you can watch the recordings if you are interested in our YouTube channel. And we conduct different events, and we have a huge plan for 2026, and we need your support because without having members, there is no point of doing it. Your support and engagement is really valuable. And today also we can see like 77 people here. Thank you very much for engaging for a long time. And I'll end this within 2 minutes. Yeah. So we are developing a platform also to automate or support our tracking pathway in the leader framework. So through the platform, you will be able to download a report which will support you in your interviews, basically interviews. That is like a green professional impact portfolio. And so by joining this Green Future Network and the GFN Impact Path, you will get a structured tracking for your green journey. And that Green Skills Ledger, this report is a verified, it's a verified report, so that you can use in your interviews or any like career related matter. And you get the recognition for your learning, action, and your leadership. And most importantly, this network is for you to you are accessible to the one-on-one mentoring, and visibility, career guidance, and job referrals as well. So based on your active performance and your engagement with us, we will refer you job opportunities as well. So because these days we are doing a survey also regarding the green workforce, what employers are looking at. So with that, with the current responses, we see they are really looking at the undergraduates, so the people who are like getting into them with lack of basic skills. So that's why we started the Green Skills Accelerator program also. So tracking this is very important. So that's why the Green Future Network and the Leader Framework will help you in that case. So that's all. If you are interested, we will share the membership form link and all the details with the with the certificates. Ishara, you can share the feedback form. So we will share the feedback form now, and you can fill it within like before 9. So you to secure the certificate. So if you have any question related to this Green Future Network and this impact, the impact path, you can ask. Otherwise, we can wind up the session.
Thank you, Beksha, for introducing a Green Future Network. Before end of the session, we have to take a group photo also. So don't leave in this session. After the Q&A session is wind up, we will take a group photo.
I think we
So
can
be
take it
ready
now.
for that.
Yeah, we'll take now.
Yes, so can't
Okay,
fill the
can't fill the form. Wait. I need to make a change. Sorry about that.
Invite all members to open your camera.
Yeah, now you're accessible to the form. Sorry about that. Okay, Ishara, are you capturing?
No, Upeksha,
Okay.
there are only few members only on the camera. That's why I didn't take
Yeah.
photo. Can others also
Yeah.
turn on your
Do
camera?
you want to join for a quick capture? Thank you very much. So it's really nice to see people live. Okay. So I'll count to 1 to 3. Then Ishara can capture. Okay. I'll count. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, everyone, for being support.
Okay. Now the feedback form is accessible. Please fill it before 9. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day.